to cover the budget day. Remember, today is our special coverage of the budget 2026-2027. Hibak Said, good morning. Over to you now.
All right. Thank you so much, Freddie, and good morning. This morning, straight from the National Parliament, we have with us the Member of Parliament from Kesses, CPA Julius Rutto, who's going to be dissecting some of the numbers as we wait for the Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Badi this afternoon to tell us what exactly is going to be happening and some of the numbers that they're going to be sharing. What are the effects it's going to be having on the ordinary 190? Thank you so much for joining us. This is one of the highest budgets that we've ever had, 4.8 trillion. What informed this?
Well, first of all, it's an indicator that the economy of Kenya is no longer static, it's dynamic, pushing up. But probably from the statement of the Cabinet Secretary that was going to lay the highlight, it will make clarity on why is the focus of this budget, what has pushed the fiscal space to that level. Yes, because what I know and what all of us will know from the discussion, we've had a moment to interact with this estimate on fundamental level, and most of the challenges or most of the causes, the determinants, the drivers are pressures on expenditure side that are over 60 major, not variable, and these are the ones that have pulled up the strain on this budget to that level, besides the demands that have to be made, because again, as much as you want to satisfy the demands that are fixed in nature, you also have to look at the variables, because the variables are the ones which pushes growth in our economy. So why we are there because of one, debt repayment. We just brought to 1.5, that is we are there because of pressure on growth on releases to devolution. Pronunciation of the constitution was that the revenue to county governments has to grow, and it has been growing. All cumulative, the shareable revenue, which is now at 428 plus conditional grants and equalization, is almost a 500 billion. We are there because of demand on critical services, social services like education, which have been facing through challenges. Yes, it stands out to be the top earner in this budget because it speaks about 700 billion against all the other sectors, and it's only one sector. But again, it's still not sufficient enough, especially capitation, to sustain the policy on free education in Kenya, basically, and basic education. We are also here because of elections. Remember, elections is just around the corner. Elections encompasses a lot of activities. Both the agency that is concerned, who has to prepare for election in terms of equipment. Remember, Kenya, we have adopted e-election. We are digitally based, and in digital it has a lot of component in terms of investment in equipment and systems, knowing that this is a very contested election, and we've come through experience of pronunciation by the Supreme Court, and in every preparation has to respond to the pronunciation of the Supreme Court, so that we attain what we call a free, fair, and credible election.
Mheshimiwa, let me just divert you for a minute there. Right, you've said 4.8 trillion because our needs are growing as a country. Of course, we do know that some of these things have to be undertaken, considering next year will be a big year for the country. However, the Kenya Kwanza government has been so big on fiscal consolidation and ensuring that we stay within our means and we never bite off more than we can chew. 4.8 trillion from 4.2 trillion last year. What exactly could justify this?
Well, that's why I started by saying there are some fixed elements that are forcing the expenditure upwards. That when you say fixed, they're not variable in nature, they have to be done. Like repayment of loan interest. The law is very categorical that it forms fast charge. We are doing now 1.5. Anything under consolidated fund services is a fixed cost, and it is informed by the projections that have to be made, and these are determined because they are on black and white. They have to be paid within the next 12 months, so it has to be provided. We are also faced on the law on support of devolution, the constitutionality requirements, that it has to grow, because again, we expect growth in developed governments. It has to be there. There is fixed elements like salaries for for civil servants, public service.
Let's focus on that for a minute. Ordinary revenue remains at around 3 trillion Kenyan shillings, of course. This could be grown by, widening the tax base. However, the government has been so strict on reducing some of our expenditure, especially expenditure that is recurrent. Why are we not taking that up as much?
That's what I'm saying. I think we also got to look at audits on these expenditures. We've been saying over and over, and it has given just a latitude of political discussion, saying, oh, there is over expenditure here, there is wastage here, but we've never had a clarity on exactly where are we having a wastage. Because if you have the spread of that expenditure, you can not easily pick and say, because the department has a development element, but they need the current to run the development. I mean, without travel, without supervision, without office operations, how will you implement your core activity programs, So you cannot divorce the current from development or from the mandate of the entity. So when are we going to say, where are these wastages? That's what I'm saying. We are in a precarious situation where we are pushed from the demand than from the supply. Unlike established nations or economies, where you look at, first of all, what do we have? Then what do we spend? Here is, how are we going to generate for this expenditure? That's why finance bill keep changing. It informs why every year we have a new proposals for finance bill. Not because of anything, especially now, current finance bill is looking at tax expenditure, which has been a phenomenon, it has been a problem, it has been a burden. We are doing 600 billion in exemptions, in subsidies. So current finance bill of 2026 is not looking at increasing tax, but adjusting the policy to reduce tax expenditure. Of course, it will still convert the burden back to the consumer. This time around, it's focusing on the consumer, not on the taxpayer per se, on the direct tax. It focuses on the direct taxes. So we are in a precarious situation because you sit down, but expenditure is growing, leave alone even now operation on the current that we are picking. Because out of this, recurrent and development are the one falling under deficit right now. Because we have a deficit of around 1.2. And development of that is 700. Then it means the other balance is recurrent. So the fixed element is salaries, we have to pay salaries. Fixed element is repayment of debt, we have to pay repayment of debt. Fixed element is releases to counties, we have to release those in counties. Fixed element is now also other services like education. I mean, already what we have, 700 billion, is not enough. I've seen security. I've asked for growth from 200 and something to 500 because of preparation of election. You compromise with it, you have no nation. So put all those things that are fixed in nature. Leave alone the recurrent. Let's set aside even development, assuming we shut down development. We shut down any other core activities of ministries and pay salaries. I don't know for what work, but pay salaries.
Right.
I don't know for what service, but pay salaries. We give money to counties and expect counties to deliver. I don't know whether they are delivering because we have other questions on counties, how they are using this. We are constraining to have them have these resources. I don't know how they are turning these resources into a service and a good for managing. So without any moving, remember we have other institutions provided by the Constitution, offices that have to be supported to run their mandate. Those in cohesion, ensure that there is stability in the nation. Those every commission has got its role for proper governance. Office of the Auditor General for them to tell us what is happening, to scrutinize and empower this house here to be able to do their work. This house again to do the work, move outside and run the oversight. But when we cease and ask them now not to increase the budget of parliament, reduce and remain just legislate, don't go outside to oversight because you don't have resources to oversight. Again saying now then let's stop from development. Maybe that's when we can say we can do renovation of the house.
All right, let's talk
Otherwise,
about
what is incremental going up are driven by demand, not even on elements that are variable. That's why I've used the word fixed and variable, because variable is something you can debate upon.
Mheshimiwa, you've talked about renovation